Hello everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins and this is Amelia Cersei Pollywog, who's decided to join us in the first month of the new year. Cersei's my new kitten, and she's very curious and playful, and she is a paper crafter in training. And I don't know if you can see her paws or not, but she is a polydactyl, and that means that she's got a lot of extra toes. So she's got extra toes on her front paws as well as her hind paws. So she has a total of 22 toes. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. So first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. I hope it's a wonderful year for everybody. I thought I would kick it off with my top 10 list of my favorite watercolor materials. And if you're just getting started with watercolor, I think you're going to find that it doesn't have to be as complicated as you may think it is. So let me just check my settings and make sure that we're recording. Okay, make sure you can hear me, and this looks good. So I've been a watercolor painter for most of my life, and when I say most of my life, I mean it. I've been doing watercolors basically for well over 60 years. And I was a professional watercolor painter and illustrator and designer, and worked for many of the top design companies in New York, and also had a wonderful list of clients that I did work for. And over the years, I've learned a lot about simplifying your equipment. You do not need to have a lot of stuff. You do not need to spend a lot of money. You paint what you know, not what you see. So it's all about a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of experience and practice. Okay, so it's like anything else. If you want to get better at it, you have to invest some time into doing it. So I have a short list, and I have my notes here to follow, and there are just 10 things on this list, and many of these things you may already have. So the first thing I would recommend is a number 2 pencil. I happen to like Ticonderoga pencils because I think their erasers are pretty good, and this is a 2 HB pencil, which means that it's a soft pencil. Now sometimes I like to use an even softer pencil than this, like a 2B or a 4B, but for everyday sketching, this does everything that I need for it to do. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about all of the products and all of the features of these things. I just want to keep this a quick top 10 list of items for you to start thinking about putting together in a watercolor kit. If you're interested in going into much more depth and why and colors and brands and all that sort of thing, please subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and you can do that on my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com, or if you're watching on Facebook, there is a sign up button up in the banner, and that will take you to the subscription for Notes, and that's my newsletter, and in there I'm going to be posting a lot more information about what I'm talking about today. It's going to be a special edition, so this would be a great time for you to subscribe to Notes. And it's also a great time for you to start to consider taking your art a little more seriously. So maybe you want to go to the next level, or maybe you're just a beginner and it's something you've always wanted to do. There'll be a lot of information in notes about the Watercolor Card Club, how to get started, what to get, and all those things. But I'll talk more about that later. So anyway, and by the way, if you're looking at this video on my YouTube channel, where I have over 500 how-to videos, you will find the subscription button for notes in the description under the video. So please do that, and please like and subscribe and follow me while you're there, because it helps me to get my videos seen by more people. So number 1 is a number 2 pencil. Maybe I should have made it number 2. Number 2 of my favorite items is a kneaded rubber eraser. So they come in various sizes, in a little rectangle, something like this. I have a little bag that I keep my kneaded erasers in, because I don't want them to get all covered with dust and dirty, and I also don't want my cats to steal them, which they love to do, and hide them and put lots of tooth marks in them. But what you want to do is you want to have a nice soft kneaded eraser. It's called a kneaded eraser because you can pull on it and shape it. I can just use my fingers to make a very pointy place here, so I can get into very small spaces, or I can spread it out and make a kind of a pancake and use it to blot up the extra graphite from my pencil. So one of the benefits of the kneaded eraser is that it is soft and it will not smudge or abrade your paper, and it's not going to smudge your pencil line. So there are those things. Number 3 on my favorites list is a spritzer. So I have a couple of different spritzers. Alright, so any spritzer that works well. I like this one because it gives me a very fine, broad mist, and it's a kind of a nice size to keep in my travel bag or here on my desk. Or you can get a long, narrow one, which is also nice. Okay, and this is one that you can get on the supply list that I'm going to be giving you also in the description below. So if you'd like to get a couple of spritzers, you can do that. You're also going to need a board. So something to paint on, a non-absorbent surface to paint on. It can be a plastic clipboard, it could be a piece of plexiglass that you have cut down to whatever size you like. It could be a piece of tempered masonite. It could be a piece of glass. So I have a new glass palette here, and I don't know if it's going to fit on the screen or not. I don't think so. Let's see if I can zoom you out a little more. No. So okay, so here it is. This is a brand new glass, tempered glass board that I just got. I haven't even opened it out of the packaging yet, but it's a beautiful size. It has this wonderful grid on it, so I can use it for my paper crafting as well. And it also comes with some accessories. And I'm going to tell you at the end of this video how you can get all of this for free. So stay tuned to the end and I'll let you know more about this very nice glass mat or surface to work on. Okay, so let's see what's next on the list. You're going to need some containers. So I use a couple of plastic containers that I have off to the side. This is the deli pint-sized container. These work very well because they are pretty stable and they have a nice wide opening so that I can get my brush in there easily. I use two, one for dirty water and one for clean water. Now when I am out, I'm going to show you my container in my plein air kit, because it doesn't have to be as doesn't have to be very fancy, but I also have this very cute little old enamel cup that is non-breakable, and it's just the right size. Again, it's got that wide mouth, and so I can use it easily. So, you know, whatever you happen to have to hand, that works. And then I also like these little water bottles. This is the small size for my travel kit, and I got these from, well, I got this from the Red Rock Casino Resort and Spa in Nevada, but you can also get these on airline flights. And so these smaller plastic bottles sometimes are just the right size for doing a quick watercolor sketch or study out of doors. Okay, you're going to want something absorbent to control the amount of water that you're using as you're painting. I like to use a cellulose kitchen sponge. You want to make sure that it has never been used for washing any greasy dishes, that it's nice and clean. You also want to make sure that you rinse out that they have a kind of a I don't know what it is, but it's something to prevent the sponge from drying out in the package. You want to make sure that you rinse out your sponge well so that's nice and clean. I also use paper towels. I like to use Bounty paper towels because they're very absorbent. I have a terry bar mop that I like to use as a rag, and you could use tissues if you're just looking, facial tissues without any kind of cream or moisturizer in them. So long as they're just plain tissues, you can use those to blot out very small areas at a time. But you want to have something absorbent to be able to remove excess moisture from your brush. Number 7 is your brush. Now I use a lot of different brushes. There are a lot of brushes that are available, and they range from very inexpensive synthetic brushes like these water painters that have the reservoir in the handle. So these are great if you're just looking to do something quick in your sketchbook and you're outdoors or in the car. These are very handy to have. When I'm doing a more careful composition, I might want to use a better brush. This is a Winsor & Newton sable brush. There are many different brands of brushes out there. I've been using these brushes for a long time, and I love them. It's a Series 7. You do not need to have a lot of brushes. Now, because I've been painting for a very long time, I have accumulated quite a nice collection of brushes. But if I were just starting out, I would say get one brush. Start with a synthetic brush because these sable brushes can be extremely pricey, but you can get a very nice synthetic brush, and I would get something that's between a size 4 and a size 8, and typically they are they come in sizes like 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, etc. So a medium-sized brush, depending on, of course, how large you're going to be painting, will serve you very well. This particular brush is a number 7. I also have a number 4 for details that has a very sharp point. My greatest advice would be to get the brush, the best brush that you can afford to buy. And if you're just getting started and you have sticker shock on the prices of some of the brushes, I understand, then just get a good synthetic brush. And again, in the more complete list, I will recommend some name brands that I've used that my students use in class. So there are the brushes. You're going to want to use some good paper. Now, watercolor paper is much different from other kinds of paper. Typically, what you're looking for is an absorbent paper that has some sort of sizing on it to make it accept the watercolor better. So if the paper is too absorbent, it's going to suck up the watercolor like a sponge. So you want to have a special sizing on it that's going to allow the paper to be absorbent but not overly absorbent. And all the different paper manufacturers have their own secret formula for their sizing. They all are fairly similar. And again, there is a broad range of price points for watercolor paper. But the main thing that you want to look for is that it's 100% cotton, because the 100% cotton paper will behave best when you're using and applying a lot of water and maybe some abrasion if you're going over and over a certain area. And it's archival. It's not going to turn yellow. It's not going to get brittle. It's going to be paper that's going to last for a very long time. And there are all different types of paper. So there's different weights, there are different surfaces, there's hot press, cold press, and more. And I will talk much more about that another time. Also, I want to mention that if you join the Watercolor Card Club, I have resources in the private group there that goes into much more detail about all of the different products that I am talking about here today. This paper, the Fluid 100 paper, is available in that supply list that I'm going to be posting below, so you can keep an eye out for that. These pieces are 5 by 7. They come 10 to a pack, and they're very handy for popping into your tote and bringing with you when you go out painting. Number 9 is your paints. And so I like to use professional quality tubed watercolors, and I like to use just the 3 primary colors. So I have my red, yellow, and blue paints, and I like to use those colors because with the red, yellow, and blue, I can mix all the colors of the rainbow. And when you use a limited palette of just 3 colors, as I do, you will find that you will gain a much deeper understanding of color mixtures and how to use them while you're working. So that's one of the ways that you can save a lot of money, is by not spending it on lots of different colors. Okay, so in the supply list, I'll give you all the information regarding the exact pigments and the manufacturers. And if you are somebody who is interested in painting with inks, I will also be talking about, let me see if I can find an ink bottle here. I'll be talking about water-based inks. So these are the refillers that can be used to refill the ink on your stamp pad, they also make excellent colors to use in a watercolor technique if you're, particularly if you're a paper crafter and you're interested in bumping up your painting skills. So all of the information that I'll be talking about regarding watercolor also translates beautifully into the water-based inks. So that information will be on the list and how you can get this. And then I also have some additional colors, so let me just find my traveling palette here. So I have a traditional kind of a travel palette, and in here I have my primary watercolors, so you can see my yellows, my reds, and my blues. I have some earth colors, but I also have a white and I have a gold paint. This is a metallic gold that I like very much, and so those can be a lot of fun to add to your kit as well. Now, if you're thinking about going out of doors to do some watercolor sketching, which I absolutely recommend, you can get, and I'm going through my tote here, you can get a much smaller palette. So here's an example of a much smaller palette, and again I've got my yellow, red, and blue and some earth colors, and because I do a lot of landscape painting, I've got some colors that were used by the traditional English watercolor painters that I like. And here is an example of a very nice travel brush. So it's got a case that opens up and forms a handle, and this is also a nice sable brush. And let's see what size this is. This is a number 8, so this is a little bit bigger. You'll find that various brush manufacturers' sizes can vary a little bit. So what one manufacturer calls an 8 might be slightly larger or smaller in another brand. So those are, oh, one more thing. So number 10 is the palette. So as you can see, I've got these nice travel palettes for going out of doors and doing some plein air painting. But if you're painting at home, you want to have a white non-absorbent palette. So it could be a white plastic. This happens to be a ceramic tray. You can use a white dinner plate. As with the accessories for the glass palette, let me show you that again. It has this kind of a silicone mat that you can squeeze out your inks or your watercolors, and you can use the glass palette itself to do your mixing on. So let's take a closer look at this glass palette, because I just got this and I'm kind of excited about it. So I'm just putting my things away. If you have any questions about any of these things, please post them below and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, so this palette is made out of tempered glass, and it measures, let's see, I'm going to need my big yardstick here to measure this. So it is, I don't even have room to measure it here, but it measures about 17 inches wide and 14 inches high. You can remove these corners. These corners are just to protect it during transit, but you might want to hang on to them in case you are going on a trip and you want to bring your palette with you. In the accessory pack, you have 2 additional items. So this is a, oh, it's all sealed up, so I'm not going to open this right away. But it's a very soft kind of a chamois, so it's going to be somewhat absorbent, and you're going to use that to wipe off your glass mat. And then you have this sticky silicone mat. So this is kind of flexible. It holds its place. You can't move it unless you lift it up, so it's not going to slide all over. It's got a big enough area here that you could put a stamp pad. It's got these wells over here that you could put watercolor or your inks, and it's got a little larger area here that you might want to do some mixing on. So this can be very handy. You could even tilt your board a little bit. If you wanted to have a slanted board, you could put something underneath there to tip it up a little bit, which you may want to do. And this is sticky enough that it's going to stay in place. So this collection is, and I'm looking for my book here, this is available for free. So if you look inside of the Celebration catalog from Stampin' Up, on page 17, it says here that that you can get, this is a value of $60. You can get that for free when you join Stampin' Up. So the joining special for Stampin' Up is typically $125 worth of products. So those products could include your water painters, could include your paper, your inks, your spritzer, all the different things that you might like to have, some good papers, maybe you need a trimmer or some other things. You select $125, you're only going to be paying $99 for it, and you can select this $60 value of the glass mat. There's also a second option that says that if you don't want the glass mat, you can get an additional $30 in free products to add to your starter kit. When you and if you decide to join Stampin' Up, you automatically become a member of the Dandelion Cottage Design Team. And I've got more information about that on my website under Join. And you can go there and read about all of the benefits and the perks and the discounts and the free watercolor card club. All of those things are on that page, and there's also a lot of benefits to joining with the Stampin' Up company, because you're going to be able to get 20 to 25% discounts on your supplies. So check that out. If you have any questions at all, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them, and I can also, send you any special links or anything that you may be looking for. It can be a little bit hard to find all the things, so if you need help, just let me know. So those are my top 10 watercolor supplies that I recommend. Go to DandelionCottageDesign.com and you can find out a lot more information about me, about the Watercolor Card Club, about joining my design team, and also about classes and workshops that I have coming right up. And if you're interested in getting the complete list sent to you, make sure that you subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage. And in that email, not only will you have a list of all the supplies, you'll have links about how to get them at a discount. You'll have information about the glass mat, and a little bit of information about what goes on here at Dandelion Cottage. I think that's it for now. I think I've covered everything. Again, if you have any questions, just post them below or send me a message. And stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.